Did you really think I would attempt to challenge the might of Sauron with a single legion?
Spoiler alert, orcs are portrayed as adversaries in the Rings of Power. But I am not sure if it is because the Lord of the Rings television series wants me to despise or sympathize with them. The goals of the first season of the Rings of Power appear to be quite obvious. The orcs are undoubtedly evil, but they are made more palatable by their past and loyalty to Adar than they are by their counterparts in the Lord of the Rings. They demonstrate this at the end of the Rings of Power Season 1, when they assist Adar in destroying the Southlands. The Rings of Power's position on orcs is even less evident in Season 2, as Adar and Galadriel take on a common and more formidable foe. Even if the show maintains that we should not care about the orcs, the Rings of Power Season 2, Episodes 3 and 6, further alter my opinion of them. It is unclear, and before it ends, the Amazon series should definitely clarify this.
As you will it, Lord Father.
Welcome to Movie Spy. The Orc Baby from the Rings of Power revolutionized my view on orcs. The orc family in Episode 3 humanizes the villains a little. An orc kid is introduced in the Rings of Power Season 2, Episode 3. And this revelation upends everything I had previously believed to be true about the Lord of the Rings. It also makes it simpler for me to feel sympathy for these antagonists, even if I know they are by no means the story's heroes. Orcs are portrayed in earlier Lord of the Rings projects as vicious, merciless creatures that are incapable of love or atonement. This is disproved by the Rings of Power, even in Season 1, and their orc offspring much more so. The orcs that were previously shown were all evil. We have never seen an innocent or deserving of sympathy orc, but the infant orc demonstrates that these bad guys are not always bad, and its family demonstrates their closeness to one another. This gives me some sympathy for the orc's predicament. I am beginning to believe the purpose of the infant orc is to humanize Tolkien's enemies. Ultimately, there are other ways in which the Rings of Power alter the story that surrounds them. In the Amazon series, the Rings of Power have altered their attack on Eregion to make the orcs appear less evil as they attempt to stop Sauron. The Rings of Power Season 2 not only makes the orcs seem less terrible by altering their attack on Eregion, but also humanizes them with the birth of the baby in Episode 6. The reason behind the siege of Eregion in J.R.R. Tolkien's tale is Sauron's desire to reclaim the Rings of Power. The story is changed in the Amazon series by having the orcs attack the Elvish citadel in order to stop Sauron. This places them on the right side of Middle-earth's history, in a twisted way. Even though they are not heroes, they are not quite as evil as Sauron. Despite my knowledge that orcs are frequently vicious and brutal, this take on Tolkien's Second Age makes it more difficult to despise them, even if it is only for their own self-serving purposes. Their attempts to halt Sauron demonstrate their concern for the future of Middle-earth. There is some good in them, as evidenced by their dedication to Adar. It appears from the Rings of Power that the orcs are just a byproduct of their treatment. It is not entirely apparent, though, whether or not we ought to feel sorry for them. The Rings of Power continue to see the orcs as the enemy. When they attack Sauron, Arondir kills them with ease in the same episode. Despite presenting a strong argument for empathy toward the orcs in the Rings of Power Season 2, Episode 6, the show nevertheless wants them to be the villains. In the opening scene of the most recent episode, Arondir shoots deserters carelessly, implying that we should not feel too terrible for them after all. To be fair, Arondir is the one who has a legitimate motive to want the orcs dead. Therefore, it is only fair that they assault him first. But the show itself gives no hint that we should sympathize with the orcs or consider things from their point of view. The deaths of the orcs are not discussed in depth, highlighted by other characters, or commented upon in any way. This makes me reevaluate how the Rings of Power Season 2 is treating these antagonists and how we should react. If the show is attempting to express a more profound message about the orcs, only time will tell. The series cannot make an excessive effort to win us around to their cause, as they will ultimately turn into Sauron's supporters. Nonetheless, there have been hints of subtlety in how it has portrayed them. Thanks for watching.